Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you with DFS Max as we get ready for our second Sunday Fun Day MLB show. Max, you had one heck of a sweat last week for PGA. It came to fruition. I believe was it 3 stacks of high society you ended up with, literally?
Yeah, exactly. Just like rounders.
And today, well, sometimes you got to pay the rake.
Not so much. But it'll still be fun to watch some Masters. Hopefully Hideki can put out. Yeah,
this has been kind of an interesting one. I had one lineup in this, and I have Hideki in it. So that has been a little bit fun for me because it was looking like it might min cash because I had 4 or 5 make it through, but now it looks like it might do a little more than min cashing, which is doubling up, but it's not a lot. But hey, better to get a little scratch there than to lose everything. We have a few Awesemo logos up there in the. Are there 2 milli makers this week or just 1?
3 milli makers.
Oh, there's 3. So I'm only in the $10 one.
Yeah, there's a 4,000 one and a $100 one.
Yeah, so I know that there are some Awesemo logos up in that one
for sure.
But I have not looked at it overly closely. In the $10 version, Ship My Money's in like about 63rd, and DeColts is like 103rd or something like that. But I understand Rinpak's floating around somewhere with a sweat. So I haven't confirmed that. I was hoping you would know because I'm not in those large contests.
I mean, Adam was bragging about his lineup to me yesterday, so he's definitely has a sweat. Like he doesn't even know half the golfers on his team, and the guy is in 60th place. You know?
Yeah, he's a kind of an animal like that. He also does that with MMA, and how he's able to do that? Why he uses the Awesemo product here, and that is something that's definitely worthwhile. I use them for all the sports that I play, and it has been quite successful. For golf, if you guys want to get in, we're doing a buy one get one free right now. The promo code is Dustin. That ends today. That ends at midnight, but you get 2 months. That's 60 days of Awesemo golf for $29.95. And that includes the projections, the player projections, ownership projections, Top Golf Tool, the lineup builder, Slack, all the good stuff that's behind the paywall. So definitely worthwhile to do that if you're super into golf. That's a great deal there. And we don't do deals like that all too often. As those of you who were reaching out to me and said, I missed the starting 9 promo code. It's like, guys, you had 9 days to use that one and get $9 or 9 days for $9 on Awesemo, and you let that one go. So check it out. Don't let Dustin go. It disappears today. So we're gonna go game by game through all of our information here today. There are 2 spots where we have weather. One of them is the Miami and New York. We don't think that one is going to play. Max is not that far outside of the New York, and it's just looking like it's going to rain all day. The reason I'm taking them out of my player pool is because I don't think it's worthwhile to me. The other game we're going to talk about is the one down in Florida. Why, yes, there is a game in Florida today because that is where the Toronto Blue Jays are playing, at least for the beginning part of the season. They may end up playing again in Buffalo like they did previously when the weather gets warmer, or they may go even get to start playing in Toronto again, depending on what happens with travel restrictions towards the end of the season. That's the unknown. The known today is it's going to rain a lot in Florida. So we saw yesterday, this is it's the single A ballpark there. The drainage on the field looked to be pretty reasonable. So that I'm not worried about as an issue, but the problem is, when are they going to play? If they were to play this game probably as a night game, it would be okay. What are they going to do? I don't know, but we'll talk specifically how to handle that one. But starting off with our first one here, we have Nick Pivetta going into Baltimore, taking on the Orioles here. Jorge Lopez is going on the other side for Baltimore. No bueno there for Jorge. The Odd Shopper is an interesting tool that we have. I was looking at the strikeout props today, and before I turn this over to you, the Nick Pivetta ones were kind of interesting because the DFS world has long loved Nick Pivetta because he has good stuff. He just never seems to harness it all. So he's very hit or miss, but the talent is there. He's been shuffled around a little bit, and now Boston's going to be taking a run with him. But his strikeout prop was only 4.5. Now, if we look at Odd Shopper here, we can see that at the different sports books. Like if you wanted to bet the under and the number was 5.5, you could look at FanDuel and over there, but you got to pay a minus 240 to get that. However, if you thought, you wanted the over, then you'd probably choose the 4.5 at the other option there. They don't like when we say certain names on YouTube. They will scrub us, which is why I'm being a little cagey here. But you're only paying minus 120 to win 100 back. I thought this would be closer. I was expecting to see 5.5 on both sides. Yeah. What do you think? Is this a pitch count thing? The weather, no issue in Baltimore. It was a little rainy. I'm in the DC area. It's a little rainy here this morning, but it's totally fine now. It's going to be probably close to upper 60s, low 70s by game time. It's nice. I'm about 35 miles south of Baltimore. It's nice where I am, and the weather pattern is headed up that way. What's up with Pivetta? I was all ready to just slam him with Shoemaker here and go to town. I wanted a higher strikeout prop though. Am I missing something? You're the man with the plan here of pitch counts and fun stuff like that.
The pitch count shouldn't really be an issue. He was going to top out at like 90, 95 pitches. So that's pretty much what everybody is doing these days. Nobody's like throwing 110 or 120. So with Pivetta, actually, I looked at him a little bit deeper just because of, obviously, he has strikeout upside. He had a 10% swinging strike rate in his last game. But the interesting thing is that injuries have always been a problem for him, right? And his fastball was only about averaging 93 miles an hour last year. This year, it's back to 95. So that's where we expect to see it. And Baltimore does have a bunch of strikeouts in this lineup. Mountcastle strikes out a bunch. Mancini strikes out a bunch. So I would have expected, like you said, about a 5.5 strikeout prop for him. The xFIP for him in his first game, obviously small sample size, but it was a 6. So he does give up some hard hits. So he's expected to give up some runs, but I think he's also going to have some strikeouts.
All right. So we're still kind of trust. Trust is a word we use sort of loosely here in baseball because bad things can happen. The afternoon slate's going to be really crazy because you got a couple of gas cans, you got a couple mediocre guys, and then you've got Scherzer and Kershaw and their 6 combined Cy Young awards taking the mound. They could give up the most runs in their game. We just don't know. We don't know. So trust is a word used loosely, but Pivetta is definitely on my short list for this one. On the other side, I think it's just going to be a story about looking towards the hitters for the Red Sox. And I just closed my starting lineup.
And JD's in the lineup.
I was going to say, is he in the lineup? I was trying to buy some time there.
They just announced the lineup and JD's in it. So that obviously makes the lineup a lot better.
Right. So this is more or less their expected lineup. So you've got Light Tower Power, Frenchie Cordero batting 9th. I don't hate that play. He's definitely a discount dandy. You've got Devers right in the heart of the order. And then you've got Verdugo up near the top. JD Martinez is 6,000. This is not a Coors Field game.
No.
That's some crazy pricing here on DK. Does that change your mind a little bit? You doing your 3 max today? What do you got dialed up for your strategy? Because I'm playing 150.
So for me, like, we should talk about the way the slate looks, right? There is no safety in pitchers today. So you got a bunch of guys. This is I guess the second time around for the fourth starter on the team. So all these guys are going to have question marks. So I think today you can go a little bit off the board and play the lower owned SP2s and even SP1s and kind of embrace the variance and just try to get as many good bats as you can. Because I think kind of like yesterday's slate, you're going to have the lineups that are going to win are the ones that are going to get all the bats right and just enough from the pitchers. Your 15 to 20 point games. I don't think there's going to be any 30-point pitchers today on DK. So you just variance and play the guys with upside. Jorge Lopez is not one of the guys where you want to embrace the variance. The guy doesn't have a whole lot of upside. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys, gives up a ton of power. So yeah, even at 6K, and the other guys are pretty expensive too. Like Devers is 5.5. All these guys are in the 5s and 4s. So yeah, I mean, the stack's expensive, but it has a ton of upside. And if we look at our top stacks tool, which I love to use as far as grabbing as much of leverage as possible, the Red Sox are actually our second highest projected stack in the top stacks tool at 9.2%. And that's before the JD news. So that's actually going to go up. And they're only expected to garner about 10% of ownership. So I would expect them to be one of the top stacks for me today.
All right, I concur with that. I don't mind getting a little bit, because again, no trust amongst the pitchers today. Don't hate a little bit of the leverage with some of the Baltimore players. They've got a lot of young guys that are talented, having their moments, but their entire lineup is made of them now. So that makes it a little bit tricky, because they're going to be wildly inconsistent. And we saw the last couple seasons with the Toronto Blue Jays, who have their all their bloodline lineage to their dads all playing, or a lot of their dads playing, and a lot of good players, and they've been maddeningly inconsistent as well. Yeah. So, and they're a better squad. But Cedric Mullins is lights out right now. At some point, he's going to go 0 for 20, but not right now. Trey Mancini, always solid. Anthony Santander.
That's my favorite play, though.
Yeah, he can do a little bit of everything. DJ Stewart, a little bit of power, really can't hit, can't make contact. Maikel Franco makes more contact, but he's inconsistent. Occasionally flashes the power. This is his third team. But that's kind of where we're at. And then Freddie Galvis is going to play till he's 50. He's on the Julio Franco plan, but he's someone I'm not really interested in. But those are some okay names there. I will probably have close to 10% Baltimore stacks today, just because to take the leverage against Pivetta.
Yeah, so let's see. Pivetta is projected at, in our pitching tool, right around actually only 7% ownership. So I'm definitely going to have some Pivetta if that ownership holds up. As far as Orioles go, I mean, they have power and also strike out a bunch. I stacked the Orioles yesterday, and they had 2 home runs in their first 3 at-bats, and then basically did nothing the rest of the game. And that's kind of how it goes. My favorite guy would be Santander. He's just crushing the ball right now, and Pivetta does give up more power from the left side.
All right. Let's hit on our next game. We got a few to go through, but some of these we'll make up time on. We have the Cubs going into Pittsburgh, taking on the Pirates. It's Trevor Williams, former Pittsburgh pitcher, pitched for Tampa Bay as well, but he is going against his former squad. I believe they outright released him, so he signed as a free agent, I believe, with the Cubs. He's someone that just never. He's like was Nick Pivetta of like 4 years ago, basically. Just never really worked out for him. He's an okay pitcher. This Pittsburgh team, not daunting. I mean, Colin Moran is arguably their best hitter. Gregory Polanco all of a sudden aged like 20 years in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
That's really it. So all of a sudden we're looking at Trevor Williams here. Pittsburgh, one of the best pitching parks in the league. And then on the other side, you've got JT Brubaker, who's been on a lot of prospect lists here and there. He's going against a reasonably difficult lineup here with the Cubs. They have a lot of plate discipline, meaning they're going to go through a lot of pitch counts, except for Jock Peterson, although he actually has a higher walk rate than we would imagine. He tends to also swing from his heels a lot. But you got Eric Solgaard, you got Ian Happ, Wilson Contreras, Anthony Rizzo. Those guys all get a lot of pitches per at bat. That's something that can really shorten Brubaker's afternoon. What do you like with our pitchers here, and take us through the hitters?
So Trevor Williams is the one I would be more interested in. Even at his high price, like we said, all the pitchers kind of stink today, so trying to embrace the variance there. He actually had a 17% swinging strike rate in his first start, which is awesome. I'm not sure that's going to hold up. His fastball velo was down like 1 mile an hour, not great, but he threw way more changeups than he has in the past, which generated more swings and misses, which leads to more strikeouts, which we like in DFS. I like Trevor Williams. Like you said, Pittsburgh lineup will probably be one of the worst of any team this year. So Trevor Williams in a good spot. I mean, the revenge narrative doesn't actually, I don't think it exists in baseball just because guys get traded so much. But it's there. So whatever that's worth. Brubaker is awesome versus right-handers, but you only have 4 in this lineup, I believe, for the Cubbies. So yeah, if there was more right-handers in this lineup, I would be very interested in Brubaker. But the lefties hit him pretty good, and these lefties are quite good in this Cubbies lineup. Yeah, the park definitely mitigates power. So the Cubby stack is not that high up on my list, but I would get some ownership of it if I was building 150 lineups.
All right. That's really all there is on this one. There's no real standout other information. So let's keep moving on here because we do have 10 games to touch on. So the next one's going to take just a moment here. So here's how I'm going to handle the Toronto game. First off, the hard part is this locks at 107. So we really don't have that much more time to have any additional information. We'll keep an eye on some of our favorite DFS weather personalities on Twitter, see what happens here. But we don't know what's going to happen. I think they will try to play this one because these teams don't play nearly as often as Miami and the Mets do, being in the AL East together. So I think that one will end up getting postponed, and just based upon what the weather is as well. We probably aren't going to know for a lock. So I'm not putting anybody from Miami or the Mets in my player pool. What I did yesterday and what I'm going to do again today with the Angels game is I'm going to set them at about 10% of my lineups. What I did yesterday is I only use them for stack. So you can do this in your optimizer by saying, stack, this team, stack 1 is going to be just those 2 teams. And then stack 2 is going to be anybody else. And I will run that to where I'm going to get about 5 to 10% of my lineups. And then I will set that aside. I will take those guys out of the player pool because I don't even want one-offs from this game with the weather concern. That way I'm compartmentalizing my risk. I've still got a piece of it. And it worked out for me last night. Yeah, they got the game in, but it was a 2.5 hour delay, I think is what it was. And then that ended up being a phenomenal game. 15 runs scored, although I don't think they had a single home run, if I remember correctly. But it was a late night for me last night. But it was good because the teams of mine that had those ended up cashing nicely. It didn't destroy my day. And then the other teams, I had other stacks and other stuff, and some of those did okay as well. That's what I'm going to do again today. So there's certain ways you can mitigate this risk. I don't want this sprinkled throughout my entire lineup because then I'm going to get pissed. And there's too much baseball for this to happen. And this is a situation that's going to come up all the time. So I have now accepted 10% of my lineups to have this risk. And if the game doesn't play, then my guys just got no hit and I move on, right? But it's when you have these guys throughout your entire player pool that it becomes a problem. How do you handle something that's distinctly like, what is it, 2-1 that they actually play this today? 3-1?
Yeah. So,
or let me rephrase that. Is there a higher, better than 50-50 that this game happens today?
It's really hard to say. From what I read, they would have to play it at 7 p.m. So
here's the other thing.
6 hour delay.
Right. So here's what I did look ahead at. Toronto is at home again on Monday, and LA is going to Kansas City, I believe. It's either Kansas City or Detroit. So it's one of those where, okay, they're not flying back across the country entirely. Do they play it later? Because these teams are only going to meet one more time. I don't know. That's the risky part here.
Yeah. I mean, I think the risk is worth it just because these lineups are so good, right? Like, Angels are projected for 5.8 runs. We were talking before the show that Tanner Roark is probably the worst pitcher in this league. So I think it's worth stacking. But like you said, you have to stack, right? Don't play a one-off where you're going to lose that guy. If this is going to be the winning stack and it's going to score the most runs today, you want all of the guys. So I would even do a double stack here, right? Because Alex Cobb, even though he looked really good in his first start, still gave up some power. He's going to strike some guys out, but it's just who Alex Cobb is. Has some good breaking stuff, but leaves a lot of pitches in the zone to get hit hard. So I would definitely stack these teams. And talking about the Mets game for a second, the other weather game, because that's the next game as well. Apparently they're saying they want to get this game in. So some of our meteorologist friends have lowered the risk on this one. As far as that next game, I would only look at the pitchers and play Stroman if you want to. You don't have to. He has a lot of upside, but if they're really going to get this game in, he's going to be one of the safer pitchers today. So it is what it is. But for the Angels, yeah, I mean, that stack is super interesting versus Tanner Roark. 10% of lineups sounds probably optimal to me. I would even go a little bit higher if I was building 100 of him.
And that's again, that's just a way to compartmentalize things. And that's something I think that's important, because we talk about this a lot of times in lineup construction. When you're doing this, you can build out your lineups that even if you're playing the same number as the field, you can build your lineups in such a way that you actually can over leverage the field, depending on how, and you can do this especially in baseball and basketball, depending on how you stack, correlate, game stack, do whatever it is in baseball or basketball, team stack in baseball, you can really do some interesting things within your portfolio rather than just running it across 150 or let's call it 20 lineups. You can say 3 lineups are doing this and only this. Now the rest of them are going to do something different. And you will match the field, but in your lineups, you will actually be over, or in some cases under, whatever the field is doing. So that's the key.
For sure.
So,
and just to mention, again, our MLB Top Stacks tool, which is very good, has the Angels as the top stack and only owns 7%, right? Because of the weather concern. Like this would be the chalkiest stack if no weather was involved.
Yeah.
So I would definitely go higher than that.
All right.
That's 7% here.
Now, with regards to analyzing the hitters, they're all good. We don't have the Toronto lineup yet, but Lourdes Gurriel may or may not play, and Teoscar Hernandez was dinged up base running thing 2 nights ago. So otherwise, it's going to be probably the lineups we've seen the last couple of days. We should have it before lock. We still have about 50 minutes there. The Angels side of things, Ohtani's not going to pitch today. They're skipping a start. He had a blister or something on his hand, so he's in the lineup. So it's going to be Ohtani, Trout, Walsh. Those are the 3 guys I really, really want to target. Max Stassi is if you're going to stack this, he's fine as a catcher play. But this is kind of an all or nothing spot in our opinions. So I wouldn't want one else here. We kind of talked about the Miami game. I'm comfortable with that. I still don't even want to play Stroman because my biggest fear is the game starts, then they have a little delay, and then they go back. Right, it starts raining harder.
If the game
it's 56 degrees, it's not like it's a warm rain in July. It's like it's annoying.
It's miserable.
Cold.
If the game starts on time, I would not play Stroman, and that's really the only part of this game I'm interested in. So I would just fade the whole thing.
All right. Now we got some stuff to dive into here. We've got a few fun things. First off, we have the Awesemo Podcast Network. Any of our shows, with the exception of the Live Before Lock series, are on the Awesemo Podcast Network. Where can you find the Awesemo Podcast Network? Well, you can find it on any podcasting site, Google Play, Spreaker, Apple, iTunes, Podbean, whatever. We are definitely on it. And we have channels for all of our different sports, as well as the main channel that has all of our content that goes out on it. So if you're someone that just wants to listen to the baseball or the basketball or PGA, you can choose that one particular podcast. It's great if you're, running around doing errands, working out in the yard, or what have you. It's a great way to get there. Here's a bonus. Here's the offer for you guys. I mean, podcasts are free. We're going to give you a chance to earn a full week, probably a full month of Awesemo premium content here. If you leave a 5-star rating or review, you get 1 full week of Awesemo premium access if you are the lucky winner of the drawing. Now, how does that work? Well, anytime you leave a 5-star review, you put your Awesemo username or your Twitter handle in there. Our social media team goes through and collects all of these 5-star reviews each week, puts them in a drawing. You're eligible in that drawing for up to a year, and each week we give away 1 free week of Awesemo premium content. It's a pretty good deal. Doesn't cost you anything other than a quick little 5-star review. Plus, the more that you do these reviews on the different channels, the more chances you have to win. I'm just saying, right now there's only a couple hundred people in that drawing. It's not that hard, or it's not impossible to win. So check that out. All right, now we get to the good stuff here. We've got a game we can talk about in depth here. We have the Cleveland Indians going against Jose Urena. That is where I want to start my day. I'm very, very excited for this matchup. Cesar Hernandez, Jose Ramirez are the 2 guys that I'm looking towards. I thought we would see Ben Gamel, I thought was going to be the leadoff hitter. Instead, it's Andres Jimenez, which is perfectly fine. He's 6,300, 3,600 on the dyslexic thing is not fun. He's 30 because I say it and I'm like, no, it's not 6. He's not going to be 6. That you're saying it wrong. So 3,600 there. And then you got Eddie Rosario, Franmil Reyes, the light tower power. The interesting thing here is the bullpen situation. So we had a couple. So I said Detroit used their righties out of the bullpen yesterday in Michael Fulmer and Buck Farmer for 68 and 22 pitches. They have 6 other relievers that haven't pitched in 2 days. 4 of them are lefties. Do you think Franmil Reyes at some point is going to see a lefty today? I do. So he's definitely in the mix for all of this. What do you want to do with this game? Yeah,
Franmil's my favorite bat, actually. The guy has immense power, perfect for GPPs, right? And it's not like he can't take Rainout deep either. Like, Urena is not good. He's worse versus lefties. Definitely stack Cleveland. The only problem with the Cleveland stack is you're not going to be dissimilar to the rest of the field. They're going to be the most owned stack today. So just keep that in mind. We have them at 17% owned as far as our top stacks tool, and only 7% to be the top stack. So you're not going to get the leverage you want here, but that doesn't mean it's a bad play. They could definitely be the top stack more often than 7%, in my opinion, today, just because Urena is that bad. And Franmil, Jose is awesome. Jose Ramirez, obviously. I mean, Cesar doesn't have a ton of power at 4.4K, but fills a second base spot. Andres Jimenez, like you said, also not the best hitter in the world, but shortstop at 3.6K versus a gas can pitcher. Why not? The whole 1 through 5, even Naylor has power there at 6.
Wilson Ramos, I'm sorry, I know that is behind the backstop. Cesar Hernandez over
does
under,
run a lot. Yeah.
Over under half a stolen base. I say over.
Yeah, 1 will do it for you. So perfect. I mean, this is a great stack. Like, everything really goes in favor of the Cleveland hitters. And don't be afraid to use like a Franmil Reyes as a one-off, just because he doesn't have the platoon advantage. So I don't think he's going to be over-owned today.
Absolutely. Looking to the other side, it is, of course, Detroit. I thought I saw the news come by that they put Miggy on the DL for some sort of strain. I hadn't even realized he was playing. I mean, I know he's playing, and I know he's still got the back end of that gigantic contract, but he's glorified singles hitter at this point. So we are looking at more or less a disaster of a lineup. You've got nothing great here. I don't even want to say there's nothing good. If you want any of these guys as cheapies, I'm not keeping them out of my lineup. But there's doesn't seem to be a lot of value in the stack here, just because they have a 4.2 implied run total. But when you start to look at it, how many of these guys have power? Not many. What do we really need in our stacks? Well, we would like home runs. Extra base hits will be okay. But if you got, if you're just getting doubles, then you need doubles with 2 or 3 on to really start to get those scores adding up. I just don't know that I see that, which makes me in turn ask the age-old question, Logan Allen?
So unsexy, right?
Yeah.
The guy has a career 7% strikeout rate.
Not tonight, honey. I have a headache. It's like
7% strikeout percentage, not good. But 8.6K, I don't know. Not a guy I ever play just because I'm trying to win GPPs. And he's never gonna give you that game-breaking score. Also, Renato Nunez, ex-Baltimore guy, 3.2K. Tons of power here, right?
Yeah, plus Jonathan Scope. He has power as well, but they never connect.
Yeah.
But it's how many Baltimore cast-offs are you going to have in Detroit? Yeah. That's how far they have fallen.
Yeah, not great. I would play Nunez as a one-off just because there's a 2 home runs upside here, right? But Logan Allen, ground ball pitcher, so don't expect a ton of hard contact. If the ground balls find holes, I guess Detroit can put up some runs. So, Logan Allen, not a guy I would play. 4.2 runs for Detroit, great, but it's Logan Allen.
All right, let's continue along here. We've got, your team, the Yankees, Bronx Bombers here. They're down in Tampa Bay. No weather concerns here because it's in Tropicana Field. with the roof. So we have Jordan Montgomery, 9,900 here on DK, 4.1 implied run total here for the Rays. I mean, at some point, Randy Arozarena is going to regress to the mean, but I guess he's just going to keep hitting well for a little while anyway. Manny Margot, I don't dislike. Mike Zunino, I always liked him. He's at the bottom of the order. He's a guy that has 2 home run upside. He will also, get 2 hits in a week, but if he gets them both in the same game and their home runs were good, but he's 4,400. So I'm not really overly excited by these guys. How do you want to approach Jordan Montgomery? Because I think he's going to be one of the more popular pitchers.
I mean, he should be the chalk. Have we, EMac, did you ever think that Montgomery would be 9.9K on a slate?
No. It's dynamic pricing on DK. Thank you.
But I mean, he could be worth it. Like 20% swinging strike rate in his first start, has 4 pitchers that he throws a million different ways, generates swing and misses on all of them. He's oft injured, right? So 73 pitches in his first start. I would expect him to top out at 90, 95. Tampa Bay does strike out at 26%, one of the higher K rates that we have in the league. So there's a lot of upside here for Montgomery. Like on FanDuel, I would just play it, all the other pitchers don't have the upside that Montgomery does today. And that's not something you can say for a lot of slates, but for the slate, it's definitely true. So Montgomery, one of my favorite pitchers today for sure.
All right. On the other side, we've got kind of more of a question mark here in Brett Honeywell. I'm trying to remember.
Hasn't pitched since 2017.
He hasn't pitched in like 3 years. It's been a series of injuries, rehab, and then getting injured while rehabbing.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh my, is this one of those ceremonial? He's just going to get out there, start, and then he's retiring after this one because he's like, I just needed to get back. And I know I'm not major, and I'm not making this up. I think this is one of those things where it's in play, where it's like, I'm kind of healthy. I got here. I did it. I know I don't have the stuff to stay. I'm just going to, now I'm going off into the sunset. It could be a situation like that.
Yeah. Michael Walker is the guy we should talk about.
Yeah, not quite the John Kruk retiring midway through the game after he got a base hit, but we're probably pretty close. How long is he going to go? That's the big question.
2-3 innings, right? Like tops.
30, 40 pitches? Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not good. Walker isn't good. So does it really matter for the Yankees? No, like they can hit anybody. He did have 150 strikeouts and 123 innings in 2017. I don't know what that's worth, but there's a stat for you. This was in AAA, by the way. So he hasn't pitched since then. I mean, don't play him, play the Yankees. But Michael Walker could get some strikeouts here versus the Yankees. Also gives up a ton of power. So the Yankee stack is very in play, even in Tropicana Field where bats go to die, right? Like it's one of the worst parks for home runs. But these Yankees can hit home runs anywhere, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and that's where this will become kind of a leverage decision. There is no weather here. These guys might be a little bit more popular. That combined with the fact that people are earmarking so much of their salary cap for Montgomery does make a potential Rays stack somewhat interesting. So because of the 2 other weather games and not that many great pitchers, he's going to have probably a higher, I would say, 10 to 15% of his popularity, not the raw figures, but he's attracting more, maybe 1 in 4 people are going to play him that wouldn't if we had other options. So that's what I mean by it's artificially inflated for there. That makes it for a leverage situation, and you can really move against the field in situations like that when it works out for you. And this is something I know that on the weekend shows we've been kind of talking ad nauseum on these, but a lot of people only can play baseball on the weekends and they don't have time to watch the MLB strategy shows during the week. So this is just kind of a primer or reminder of the different things. And heck, this is only the second weekend. We'll stop hitting as much on this information because once we get done with this, we'll have more pitching information to talk about. We had an abbreviated season last year where they ramped up. We're about to play, went back into pandemic mode, and then ramped up again. pitchers only started 10 to 12 starts. It's a mess. It's hard to look at anything from there. So we're really 2 years removed from a lot of our good data. So what we're talking about now are concepts and just reminders of how to handle things, because you never know, is somebody ahead of the curve? Are they behind the curve? What's going on? It's impossible to tell at this point, because most of these guys are just making their second start, and hitters have only had 5 games basically. So unless they're an everyday player, then they've had 7. Okay, it's not very many for this one. So again, we'll get into way more analysis when we have the data. Right now, we just don't have the data. So how do you manage in the absence of information and be successful? So that's what we're just trying to help you guys out with here. Anything else from this particular game?
No, I mean, Yankee stack, Jordan Montgomery's probably your highest upside pitcher today. Definitely raise leverages in play, just because there is some power here with Brassell, with Rainout. So yeah, we touched on everything.
All right. I do want to say, please like and subscribe. The like button, that's an easy way to say thank you. We appreciate the free content. The subscribe, that's an even better way, because it helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. It keeps Awesemo channels being recommended in other user feeds. And that's something where we can get more eyeballs looking at our stuff. And in turn, we can get sponsors. And in turn, we can continue providing free content for you. That's how the model works. That's what we're trying to do. So help us out with that. Subscriptions are welcome. Plus, we have at any point in time, we have 7 to 8 shows per day through different things. So we're always on air. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell and know anytime that we go live. Moving on to our next game here. Oh, it's the Mariners. Yep. Matt Shoemaker has pitched less than 200 innings over the last, 15 years combined, something like that. Guy always gets hurt. Great splitter, great talent. Was one of 8, and I'm not exaggerating, one of 7 Angels pitchers that would always get hurt no matter what. And he has kicked around. He was with Toronto for a while. I like him in this one. Mariners, 3.7 implied run total. It's going to be in the upper 40s today. The Mariners' power, kind of non-existent at this point. And no, I'm blanking on the kid's name. Lewis is not in, he's out for them. So they've got a bunch of, I'm a Mariners fan, and I'm going to call these guys a bunch of no-name players here. Taylor Trammell is kind of interesting, somewhat at 3,000. Maybe a little Mitch Haniger at 3,800. Don't dislike those guys, but that's really it. For the Mariners that are even pesky hitters at this point. They're kind of getting by with smoke and mirrors. Chris Flexen, not really interested. We talked about him a lot last weekend. He was the guy that came back from the KBO, where he had basically washed out of the majors, had a nice year in the KBO last year, and he's back. The Mariners rotation, no bueno. So we've got Luis Arias will be leading off. He's 4,900. It's still kind of expensive because he mostly is a singles hitter. He has 5 career home runs, but he is at the top of the lineup, and he's playing third base every day now. So he's someone that's kind of interesting. Nelson Cruz, Byron Buxton, of course, Max Kepler, those guys are all perfectly fine. I do like the Minnesota side of things here, but again, it's going to be cold. It's not the best environment. There's a 10-mile-an-hour breeze going out to right field. What stands out for you in this matchup, and why is it not Chris Flexen?
Chris Flexen, the KBO star, right? Like we all during the pandemic when no baseball was
hey, I know that name. Oh, now I know why I know that name. Do I want to play him here? Does it hurt? It's 5 a.m. I'm making bad decisions. Sure, let's play him. Yeah, that was us a year ago, right?
Yeah, he wasn't facing the Twins, so don't play him today. The Twins have a lot of power, don't strike out much. Very good lineup. So we don't really need to talk about Flexen. We can talk about Shoemaker, though. So it's all about the splitty, right? Like if the splitty's splitting, he's going to get a bunch of strikeouts, and that's what you want. He's also only 6.9K, which seems underpriced for this slate, especially because he has one of the highest upsides as far as strikeouts go. That's really all the analysis with him, right? Like oft hurt, split finger, one of his best pitches, throws it like 30% of the time. So if it looks like it's going to be in the zone and drops out, he will get the swings and misses. If we look at his ownership today, he is 35% projected in our top pitcher tools. So that's one of your chalkiest pitchers. So just know that he does have some blow-up potential. but so does everybody else on the slate. So you can embrace some variance, play him. He is projected to be the top, one of the top 2 pitchers 15% of the time, which for 6,900 is great. So definitely like Shoemaker. Marmolejos on the other side is probably my favorite bat from Seattle.
You just wanted to say Marmolejos.
It's pretty fun to say though, right? I also
Why do you think I just chimed in? Come on.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all the analysis here. Twin stack firmly in play.
All right. Let's see here. I see in chat, Craig Arrowwood Jr. says, EMac reminds me of the crazy uncle that listens to Rush. To that, I got to say, though my mind is not for rent, don't put me down as arrogant. My reserve, well, it's a quiet defense. I'm writing out the day's events. There you go.
Very nice.
See, Tom, I changed the lyrics, so it's not going to be copyright infringement because I tweaked them just enough if you're watching. Tom is always watching, but that was Tom Sawyer, not related to Tom Kennedy, the COO of the Awesemo company. Royals and White Sox. Mike Minor, a lefty, going against the White Sox, who are going to be without Eloy Jimenez for most of the season, and they were without, I'm forgetting his name, Anderson, who just went on the deal. Tim Anderson. I was going to say Tyler, and I'm like, we're doing too many sports right now. But he is definitely their lefty killer. Now they're missing both of them. Mike Minor, 9,400. I'm not afraid of that price point because it's 50 degrees, and this is the White Sox that are leaning on a lot of youngsters. If he can navigate Luis Robert and Jose Abreu, we're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, I mean, Mercedes, right, is hitting the cover off the ball here, so he's another dangerous bat. Andrew Vaughn is a big prospect, one that's playing because Eloy Jimenez is hurt. So there's power in this lineup. Mike Minor gives up a ton of fly balls, a ton of hard contact, 9.4K. I don't think I'm interested in versus the White Sox here. Even though like 4.5 runs for the White Sox implied feels low. I guess maybe the weather, like you said, 50 degrees. I don't know. I still think you can hit home runs here. White Sox, let's see what they're projected at here as far as ownerships. Only 3.4% and only 3.6% as a top stack here. I would play them more here. I don't think Minor is a name that I'm that scared of. I guess I mentioned the power to righties. That's about it. As far as the other side, we have Dylan Cease here. Big prospect, should get more Ks than he does. A lot of walks, not as much strikeouts as you would like. And the Kansas City lineup is a lot better than we used to see, right, EMac?
They've had a variety of iterations throughout the last few years, from extreme strikeouts to no strikeouts to why are you playing some of these guys? And so their collection of cast-offs is it's not even really, I mean, was Jorge Soler with them all? I've lost track.
No, Soler's been
he's been in there the whole time. Yeah, I know Michael A. Taylor and Benintendi are the guys, and they've run through a collection of DHs and first basemen and such as well. But the constant is going to be Salvador Perez, who literally will play every day until he gets hurt, and then he will still try to play. But I don't know what. I have a hard time doing this because Cease has been it's been a roller coaster. With him. He has been absolutely god awful more often than not, but then all of a sudden he has a gem out of nowhere and you're like, that I want that.
Yeah.
And he's like, how did he have 7 innings of shutout ball, 3 hits and 8 strikeouts? Where did that come from? Because he gave up 3 home runs in his last start, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what we're getting. And we talk about this pitching slate being fraught with peril. This is the perfect example. Somehow I've convinced myself I'd rather play Mike Minor at $2,200 more than Dylan Cease, even though arguably Cease has the better opposition or the better matchup. Here we are.
Yeah, he's also 7.2K. Like you said, he's pretty cheap. He definitely has a ton of talent. I just don't think the kid has harnessed it yet. And the main issue with him is walks. The Kansas City lineup is scary to me. Like, it's weird to say just because they've been so bad for so many years. but then like Carlos Santana, Benintendi, these guys are good hitters. And Carlos Santana walks a ton. So yeah, I don't see a ton of upside for Cease here. Only a 4.1 implied total for the Royals feels low. I don't know. This is a weird game, but I think you're definitely going to get the leverage you want here. I don't think either stack is going to be over-owned.
That's a good point. And that's probably because people are going to be like me and talk themselves into the pitching. That's always the byproduct. Remember, if we're not comfortable with the pitching and we're playing more than 10 lineups, probably we should have some batters going against them. We talked a little bit yesterday about the concept of a hedge stack. Basically what that means is you if you are going heavy on a certain, this is what I think it means. When you're going heavy on a pitcher in particular or above the field, perhaps you want a little leverage going against him. It's not going to win you all the monies. But what it will do is if your pitcher implodes, at least you have a couple lineups that may break free and help you recoup some of your entry fees for that day. Basically, that's what I kind of think of as a hedge stack. Yeah. That's usually against the better pitchers. These guys are not the better pitchers, so you can just play against them anyway. But it's an interesting concept to talk about that sometimes people forget. As we, it's been almost 6 months since we really did baseball. So right. Those are the different things. All right, let's get over to, we still have 2 games left. I like this one as well. Brett Anderson, a lot of ground balls, doesn't allow a ton of power, but if you're into BVP, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado each have a pair of home runs off in limited appearances. They also helpfully actually profile well against Anderson. So I'm interested in the Cardinals stack. They were the last lineup that was released. We do have Yadier Molina batting cleanup. Who's going to retire first, Yadier Molina or Salvador Perez?
I mean, it should be Yadi, right?
I don't know anymore at this point. How long has there been a Molina catching in the league? It's got to be like 30. I'm not exaggerating. I think it's been like 25 or 30 years.
Yeah, one of 3 of them.
Yeah, the one of the Benji, Jose, and Yadier. Yeah.
But Yadi batting cleanup is weird, right? Like
yes.
Like Goldschmidt, Arenado, DeJong even has a ton of power. I don't know if I would put Yadi as your cleanup hitter. But Brett Anderson is my pick to be out of the league this year. He's topping out at like 90 now, averaging 89 on his fastball, got smacked around his first start this year, has a 2% swinging strike rate from his last start. So
do you have his Fangraphs page up?
I did.
When was the last time he averaged over 90 on his fastball in his 13
last year was 91. So
okay, how many innings did he pitch last year?
It was like
14 or
right?
something.
Yeah. It wasn't a lot. I mean, he's been around forever. I don't know how this guy sticks around, but really, it's like because he's a southpaw with a lot of ground balls. Just generates a ton of ground balls.
So here's my, and I'm sorry, I'll let you know this after.
Yeah.
So here I kind of made these guys my stack of the day for this one. And so I said, this is Anderson's 13th season. There are no mysteries as to what to expect from the crafty lefty. With the fastball in the upper 80s, Anderson relies on a mix of breaking balls and changeups to keep hitters off balance and induce weak contact. That said, he can be exploited by the correct hitting profile. The nice thing about the addition of Nolan Arenado to the Cardinals is that he will be hitting adjacent to Paul Goldschmidt. We're going to want to look to these duos when they are facing lefties. And I say, while batter versus pitcher stats are fun, they're not particularly meaningful. However, Goldschmidt 10 for 18 with 2 home runs, Arenado 6 for 15 with 2 home runs. It's nice to see, right?
They have those uppercut swings, right, that you want against guys that are low in the zone. So they just kind of golf those balls over the fence. They're in St. Louis, so they're going to be hitting towards the Big Mac land. I like the Cardinal stack here. 4.5 runs implied is going to keep their ownership down. I definitely think that they could be one of their top stacks of the day with all this power in the lineup. I mean, we haven't even talked about like Tommy Edman and DeJong also have a ton of power. Dylan Carlson here at 3K, Austin Dean at 2.9K. You can sprinkle those guys in. I think Brett Anderson is dusty. So let's definitely play some hitters against him.
let's run to our last game here. Then we'll do one circle.
Oh, we didn't talk about Ponce. Let's talk about Ponce because he's one of the chalky pitchers here.
Why?
Yeah. So I looked at his start last game, and let me just tell you, like, either Fangraphs and Statcast were broken, but from what they're saying, he threw 90% fastball. He totally didn't throw. He threw 0 cutters. Like, he used to throw 25% cutters last year. So I don't know. Either Statcast was broken or the guy just had no feel for his off-speed pitchers, which is not what you want out of a guy that's going to be 40% owned. So my take is, if these stats were correct, I want some Brewer stacks.
When I wrote my article, I started writing it at 6 this morning. I didn't have the ownership yet. I almost made the Brewers the featured stack of the day until I went and made them the Cardinals. And I can't believe this many people are on them.
Yeah, it's definitely strange for me. And 40% owned for Ponce, like 6.7K. He has strikeout upside. He did not have very good swing and miss stuff, as you could imagine, in his first start, just because he threw so many fastballs. His fastball velo was also down about a mile an hour. So he definitely wasn't throwing super hard. I don't know, like, a Brewer stack is my favorite leverage spot of the day. I may take some flack for that, but it is what it is.
I will definitely co-sign on that one. And then our final game here, no 3 o'clock games. There's 3 4 o'clock games, but we've got the last game here in Texas. They're doing it at 2:35. A lot of times they start at 3:05, and the sites don't include it. I don't know why. We'll see that a lot this year. We'll see it with Coors Field as well. But we have Adrian. How did we decide we were going to say his name? Morone. Adrian Morone. Thank you. I was just like, I know it's not Morjon. I don't think it is anyway. And then you got Michael Fultonevich. You want to get every lefty you can against Fultonevich. The Padres are going to have quite a few of them out there. The interesting thing about Fulte, he forgot how to get righties out as well, and they've been crushing him for power. Atlanta outright released him. Would he like went one start last year for like 3 1/3 inning, and they're just like, deuces.
It's so sad, right?
Yeah, this was a guy I thought was going to have talent and put it all together, and he's fallen just fallen from grace. Absolutely.
Yeah, injuries, definitely injuries. Yes, his fastball velo was up in his first start over what we saw. And I guess that means he's a little bit healthier, but still not a lot of swings and misses. San Diego does look over-owned. So in our top stacks, it's projected to be a top stack 9% of the time and owned at about 12%. So the leverage score, not great here, but yeah, like you said, San Diego has power throughout the lineup. Fulte does give up power, especially like you said, to righties, which is, he used to dominate righties, but not anymore. Gives up a ton of right-handed power. Yeah, pretty much like everybody here on the San Diego team. Stack against Fulte.
Right. I'm going to quickly look and see if we have any weather updates from our favorite people out there on Twitter. Mlb Dfs, as Chris Baggs likes to refer to Mr. Kevin Roth as, says rain for Miami and New York isn't nearly as heavy as LA and Toronto, which is in Florida. They're planning to start on time. Oh, if they plan to start on time, this could be a deal breaker.
Yeah, that's scary just for the 9.1K pitcher Stroman.
Yeah,
giving you 3 innings.
So I have, as I mentioned, I've gone in. I'm zeroing out everybody from the Miami game, and then I'm going to build 10% of my lineups based on stacks right off the bat with the other game, and then I'm going to get them out of my player pool. So that's how I am handling the risk for this one.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to mention Marone.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, did get a lot of swings and misses in his first start. Has some upside, I think. The Rangers strike out at about 26%, one of the higher percentages in the league. He's not projected to be very highly owned in our top pitcher tool. I kind of like him here.
All right. They were asking in chat, they asked if you could elaborate a little on who you want to stack from the Brewers.
stack from the Brewers. Let's pull up their lineup. Oh, Vogelbach is like my favorite guy, 3.2K. Definitely interested in him. Yelich is hitting really well this year so far, just hasn't had the home runs. I think the home runs are coming. Love Christian Yelich, Shaw, power. Like, don't play Kane. He doesn't have any power anymore. But pretty much everybody else in this lineup, except for like Jace and Urias, have power. So I would go 2, 3, 4, 5. You can even put Manny Pena in and catcher spot 3.5.
All right. Let's list our top stacks and then we can get on out of here. For everybody, lock is at 105. So if you have not put your lineups in like me, you might want to do that right now. Fortunately, I'm running some crunches, but that probably will mean my computer is going to go down here shortly. So we shall see. So for me, top stacks, I really like the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm good with the Twins. And who was my third one?
Indians?
Cleveland, of course.
Yeah.
How can I forget Cleveland? We talked about them right off the bat.
Yeah, for me, it's Cards, Indians, Yankees, Twins.
All right.
Don't forget the White Sox as a leverage stack against minor.
Now, who is your favorite pitchers?
I hate to be the homer, but I got to go Montgomery as my favorite pitcher. As far as the cheaper guys go, it's actually Marone and Shoemaker.
Okay. Any words of wisdom you would like to give anybody?
Words of wisdom for slates like this is embrace the variance, right? Just try to get as much leverage as possible. There's no sure things on this slate, you know? Like sometimes we'll have a DeGrom pitcher and you just lock him in. There's no such thing on this slate, so embrace the variance.
All right. And then final things I'm going to let you guys know. We've got more shows today already in the can. We have the NBA DFS strategy show that was recorded about 2 hours ago with Rinpack and Josh Engelman. 5 o'clock, you got the deeper dive with T McB and me. So we have T-Mac and EMac. And then at 6 o'clock, live before lock, Jason Floyd and Eric Lindquist. And then tomorrow we get it started all over again with Josh Engelman at 6:30 with The Process. I want to give a shout out to everybody watching. Please hit that like button on the way out. We appreciate it. Follow us at Awesemo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.